Hey guys, that's Kirk from the Forever Homestead. So it's just after the May long weekend here in Canada. It's like the, I don't know, 20 something, 24th I think of May. So we're about a month behind in our build, but not really because of anything that's been going on here. It's more because of the weather. So much winter and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I wanted to start the new, I kind of talked about it in one of the other videos. I want to start the new the new way we're going to kind of put out videos here. Instead of making it, you know, first floor of the house, second floor, raise this wall, raise that wall, I'm just going to kind of do it, you know, this week on the homestead type stuff. Only because it's, you know, it's so scattered and all that kind of stuff, and I can only do so much in a week. This way I feel like maybe the editing will be less, which means, I mean, there's always editing, lots of it, but this way maybe I'll be able to get videos out in a more timely manner instead of spending hours kind of sorting through video for this video, for that video, for this. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm going to do. But I wanted to start this video with kind of an overview of what's going on. We're getting a lot of questions as to where the timber frame is in our timber frame house. So I want to start, even though we label the videos as such, the way, what this house is called a timber frame hybrid or a partial timber frame. So yes, there is a timber frame that is an integral part of the house, but it kind of mixes stick frame construction with the timber framing. Technically the timber frame could have, maybe should have, I don't know, maybe it should have gone up first, could have gone up first. I'm going to say could have, but we wouldn't have been able to finish the top of the timber frame, like the rafters and all that kind of stuff, until some of these outside walls are on, because that's where the partial comes in. Some of these outside walls are actually supporting some of the rafters. And you'll see that kind of as it goes along. But just to answer that question, I just wanted to say that. The reason we started with the walls and not with the timber frame is because we still don't have our logs. Our logger, I don't know how he normally works, but we were supposed to have him in December, so like 7 months ago or something like that. And they're still not here. And I'm calling him almost every other day now, and now he's getting a little short with me saying, I just can't go out into my backyard. And I'm like, I know, but it's been since December. So anyway, I had my sawyer who's actually going to be milling the lumber once it comes here. He works with another guy. He's got us some timbers that we're going to start our house with, or start the second floor with. But to fill in all that time, because otherwise we wouldn't be started any, like these walls wouldn't even be up yet. So in order to fill in time or keep the progress going forward, we've kind of changed the order that we would be doing things in. It'll probably cause some issues down the way, but I don't think it's going to be anything we can't deal with. So that being said, this week, all I'm doing this week, there probably won't be a lot of video coverage on it just because it'll probably be boring. I'm just finishing in a couple of projects on the first floor. There's still a little bit of top plate that has to go on. You know, a little bit of plywood that has to fill in some holes here and there. I'm going to adjust one window because my wife and I don't feel like it's tall enough. It's based on the plans, but I think it could be about a foot bigger. It's kind of built around no privacy, but because we're out here in 32 acres, privacy is not an issue. So anyway, as far as the timber frame goes, we're actually going to build it a little bit out of order. Not build the timber frame out of order, but the house. We're going to actually start some timber framing this week that's going to support the second floor loft, the timber frame we're doing now. Some people have asked us, so we had a lot of people here on the weekend, and people have asked us if we regret not doing the full timber frame now that we've explained to everyone what a partial timber frame is. And the answer to that is a little bit tricky. We both love this house. And if I could go all the way back to the very beginning, I probably would build a full timber frame house. I wouldn't build this house. I would have did it a different way. The reason is when we didn't know anything about house building when we start. There's still so much we have to learn that we don't understand, we don't know about. When we looked at blueprints to do, I had my own house drawn up and laid out and everything else. It was getting a little big, but we could have still, you know, brought it down. But to get that, my custom drawing turned into custom blueprints was going to be about $10,000. And I thought, there's no way I'm spending $10,000 on blueprints. That's crazy. Well, we're almost there. You know, you buy the plans from British Columbia, Streamline Design. They do amazing work. We bought our blueprints from them. And I think they were rough. I think we paid $1,700-ish around there for them. So we're like, oh yeah, 10 grand or 1,700. Well, then you want to make a couple of changes. So you have to pay for that time, obviously. So, you know, that added, I don't know, maybe another 1,000, maybe not quite that much. But then because Streamline Designs is from British Columbia and we're in Ontario, well, we had to bring in a local engineer, an Ontario engineer, just to look over the blueprints to make sure it's up to Canadian or Ontario building code. But then on top of that, because it's timber frame, the person that did it, you know, it's a little bit extra here and there because he has to do the timber frame part of it as well. And then, you know, you want a cut list because, you know, reading blueprints, I've studied all weekend on it, or all weekend, all winter on it. But then there's still some things, so I needed some clarification, so that cost money. And then we went and took the timber frame course at the Shelter Institute. Amazing course. And then you know, this timber frame, they can make it a lot easier by giving us the cut list. The same thing that we did when we built the house, or the part of the timber frame project. So that was another couple of $1,000 in the end. So I think we're almost at $9,000 now. So if we could do it, and this is what both Jessica and I agree on, if we could start all over again, we would have taken the Shelter Institute home builder, like the build course, which is a 2-week course instead of a 1-week course. But it starts at the very beginning of designing a house, laying it out. Then you get the timber framing course. You know, it would have cost twice as much as the course we took, but you would have got 4 times the information, and then we would have contracted Shelter Institute to actually help us turn that into a blueprint. And yes, we'd still have to get it engineered by somebody down here, but in the end, it would be a full timber frame, which, yes, would be nice. But anyway, this is our forever home. We're not going back. And I truly do think this house is going to be beautiful. The timber frame in it is going to satisfy me for the house because there's still 2 other buildings on the property we want to build. We're building a carriage house for our firewood, and we're building Jessica's dog school. So there's still a lot of timber framing that's going to be going on here. So all of the knowledge that we have is only going to be getting better. And in the end, the house is still going to be beautiful. So I hope that explains where the timber frame is at this point. I know there's a lot of people asking, including our friends. So we're going to finish off this week by finishing up some little projects. I just put a couple of the finishing top plates on. What else is there? There's some plywood, the whole front here. Not the windows, but the whole front still needs to have the plywood put on. Got to cut out the windows on the basement there still. Plywood at the back, tying things in. There's still some blocking that needs to go in underneath where the timber frame is. And I want to finish off with actual timber framing. We've got, like I say, we have the 5 or 6 beams we need, beams and posts to get to the 2nd floor. And we need to get those timber framed. They're already milled for us. We just got to get the timber frame joinery done. You know, give them a coat of oil and end grain sealer and all that kind of stuff. Because my hope is by the end of next week, I hope to be able to get a crane in here and lift that section up so I can continue on with the 2nd floor while I'm still waiting for the remainder of my logs to come. It's such a process. Anyway, I'm going to kind of work. I'll grab some footage along the way, and we'll kind of piece it all together at the end of the week. But yes, that's the new plan. Monday to Friday, full-time house building. So I shouldn't be jumping from that project to this project to this project. So it's going to make kind of the format of the whole thing easier. Weekends we'll kind of be finishing up other projects, but for right now, this is my full-time gig. So I hope you guys enjoy the new process, the new format that we're going to take on. Please let me know in the comments if you're hating it and you kind of want it to go back the other way. We'll do that. The videos will be a little bit more scattered. But let us know what you think of all this. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Click the little bell, as everyone keeps saying, so you get the notification. And share these videos. You know, let's get the channel growing. It's growing pretty awesome. So I finished up the plywood on the back. Just have to cut out that door, or sorry, cut out the second bedroom window there. I have the header and the cribbing and stuff over the both doors now. So that's all ready to go. I finished up all the top plates all the way around. There's a couple of spots where I had to get up there with a sledgehammer and kind of drive everything down because it kind of, I'm not sure what from, everything was lifted. It would have settled once the rest of the house gets on it, but I didn't want the plywood holding anything up higher than it should be. There's still plywood to go on the front, but I'm going to hold off on that until decking time, till I'm starting to build the deck, because I don't have scaffold over here, and then I'll also be able to use the deck itself as a platform to be working from. There's no point, really. It's not going to change anything up here, really, and it's going to make, you know, crawling up an extension ladder with plywood over my head and a nail gun and all that, it just seems like more work than it really needs to be. So, interior walls need to be framed out. But before interior walls are done, I'm going to raise this center timber frame section, kind of brace it off to the outside walls, and then I can frame interior walls. Because I'm not sure, you know, there's going to be 3 big 10 by 10 posts, one at the back, one there, and then a big 16 by 12 beam across the top. And the interior walls, I want to frame into that area. So, I mean, there's a bedroom wall, and there's laundry or mudroom walls, things like that. But it's going to be a lot easier to frame it once this piece is up. Then before I actually tackle the second floor loft, then I'll frame out these interior walls and such, and then I'll floor. So, as I said, for this week, I thought this would take a little longer than it has to. There's still, you know, just that window to go. But this is Wednesday, so I still have Thursday and Friday. So I might actually be able to finish up the timber framing, the stuff that I need to have done for midweek next week. So I'm going to get over into the barn, kind of set some things up, and I'll bring you over and show you what's going on over there. So here are the 10 by 10s and a couple of 4 by 6s that we're going to use for the house. So these 10 by 10s, there's one there that I finished up, there's another one here and one there. They're not cut to length yet. They're going to be just over 9 feet long, so there's going to be some material at the end, which is good because we're using that for practice. So they're going to actually sit in the middle of the house. I don't know if I can show you that here or not. So they're going to sit both sides of the stairs and then in the back wall, and then there's a beam that goes on top of it. So the ends need to be squared up on all of them, and they all need a tenon like that one cut on. So this one I've already done. We're leaving them kind of rough finish. You know, we're going to clean the dirt off and stuff, and then I'm just hitting them with a belt sander, just briefly. I don't really mind, you know, the rough, like you can see the cut marks from the sawmill and all that kind of stuff. I like the look of lumber, I like the look of wood, and I don't need it all flat and shiny, you know, like a cupboard door or anything like that. So both Jess and I agree we're going to leave it like that. We did pick up some oil finish for them. It's got UV protection in it, which is normally what you'd use on the outside, but we're going to put it on the inside stuff just because the frame's going to be exposed for a few days or for a few months. I do have the end grain sealer on it, just to stop, you know, the cracking. We've had these for about 3 weeks now, and I didn't put the end sealer on, and you can already see that it was starting to really check and stuff like that. So I got this one finished and got that on. I'm going to get set up here. I'm going to get things moved around, and I'll show you the whole process. So here's the beam we are going, or the post, I guess, that we are going to be working on. So this is post 3 in our house. I don't even know offhand how many there are in total. I think we've got, between the posts and the beams, there's almost 50 of them. And I've got one done. Anyway, so when we got all the engineering and everything done, at the very end, after we took the shelter course, we ended up contacting Shelter Institute and seeing if they do up the cut sheets, the joinery sheets like we had when we were in class. So they do up these sheets. I don't know if you can see it, I got a protective cover on it, but it shows up in the corner. Can you see that stuff? And it shows up in the corner that this is post 3, and then it gives all of the cutout dimensions and where joinery and everything should be. Like this on the back is actually one of our big Douglas fir beams that we have, and you can see it showing where to put the mortises. It kind of match up with what we're doing here. And then they also have on the bottom, they've given us northeast southwest orientation. And when I gave them the blueprints for the house, I told them to disregard the compass rose that's on the blueprints and to go by what I gave them. So I actually told them what the orientation of the house is going to be based at northeast southwest. So when it shows north on here, that's actually going to be the side that's facing the north. So it makes laying them out a lot easier. So we know, so from this, it's 98 inches long, 98 inches to the bottom of the beam that's going to be out there. Overall, this is just under 9 feet. Yeah, just under 9 feet to the top of the beam that sits on top of these columns. So what I do first is I have to go through and look at the beam or this post and see what side I want facing in which direction. For instance, so this post is actually going to be back in our master bedroom. So it needs one really good side, because that's what you're going to see as you walk in. And then it needs 2 pretty good sides, right? There's one that's going to be facing a wall, so you're never going to see it. So anything that's really bad on here, we're going to hide against the wall. And there is actually, I don't know if you can see it here. Let me see. There is actually some damage to this post, or to this log, when they moved it in. Where are we? There's actually a big rip in it here, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I kind of wonder if I go from that end, if I'll be able to put this, or if I'll be able to cut it off, or worst case, if I'll be able to hide it kind of down near the floor, because then by the time you get flooring and all that kind of stuff, you might not see any of that. So I'm gonna clean it up. I got a hard brush that I use to kind of clean all the dirt off of it and stuff like that from when the Sawyer dropped it off. All right, so we're on Thursday now. We've got one of the posts done here that we're gonna need. You can see it's kind of got an offset tenon on it. That'll go into a mortise on the other end. Overall, I think this is just over 8 feet. In total, when it's all put together, it's going to be just over 9 feet tall with the beam on top. I know in this video I kind of rushed past the whole timber frame. I am going to put another video out there. It'll probably be one of the next ones coming up, and I'll kind of do this whole process on how we did the timber framing on this. I'm just trying to do a little bit of organization on the videos, but if you have questions about this, until that another video comes out, feel free to ask. If not, within a week or so, I'll have that video, and once it is out, I'll put a link down in the description below, and I'll probably I'll put a card up top so you can link over to it. But look for that in probably a week or 2. For this segment that we're doing here, the first lift, we only need 3 posts and 1 beam, and then hopefully by then, and we have those all here now, so hopefully by then the rest of our stuff comes in and we can set this whole shop up. And I think that if Jess and I just take a whole week non-stop, we'll be able to finish all the rest. But there'll be more about that next time. Until then, have a good one.